Hello everyone.
Made with
Our
Clipchamp.
topic is steam locomotive. A steam engine is a heat engine that performs mechanical work using steam
Made
as
with
its
Clipchamp.
working fluid. The steam engine uses the force produced by steam pressure to push a piston back and forth inside a
Made with
cylinder.
Clipchamp.
Let us know more about it further.
Now we'll see how a steam locomotive works. There
Made
is
with
a
Clipchamp.
compartment in the locomotive which holds the water and the fuel. The fuel can contain coal, wood, or oil,
Made with
but in
Clipchamp.
most cases, coal is used. The fireman on board puts the coal on the grate and burns it. The ashes of the coal is then collected in the ash pan.
Made with
Also, there
Clipchamp.
is a door to let inside the outside air near the ash pan to keep the fire burning. As the
Made
coal
with
burns,
Clipchamp.
the hot gases fill up the firebox and travels through the boiler pipes into the smoke box, which lets the steam out of the locomotive through the chimney.
Made with
This
Clipchamp.
setup of firebox and boiler pipes is submerged in water. So therefore, as the firebox and pipes are heated, it in turn heats up the water to its boiling point
Made
and
with
forms
Clipchamp.
saturated steam, which accumulates in closed boiler above the water. There is a steam dome on the locomotive which
Made with
contains the
Clipchamp.
throttle or regulator valve. This valve leads the steam to the dry pipe of the superheated header, which heats the steam to a high temperature. If the pressure of the steam
Made
inside
with
is very
Clipchamp.
high, a safety valve opens automatically to avoid any accidents. Now, this highly heated
Made
steam
with
travels
Clipchamp.
through the heater pipes which enters a set of cylinders. There are two sets of cylinders situated on both the sides of the locomotive. The first cylinder consists of a slide valve,
Made with
and the
Clipchamp.
second contains a piston which is connected to the piston rod, which is in turn connected to the drive wheel and then to the other wheels. Now,
Made
this
with
slide
Clipchamp.
valve allows both the new steam and exhausted steam to push the piston from both the sides. Pushing the piston to right will complete
Made with
half
Clipchamp.
rotation of the drive wheel, and pushing it to the left will complete the other half rotation, making a complete rotation of the wheel with
Made
piston
with
movement
Clipchamp.
back and forth. For converting this to and fro motion to rotational motion, a crankshaft is used. In this way, the steam powers the wheel of the
Made with
locomotive and
Clipchamp.
makes the locomotive run.
In the steam locomotive era, two measures of locomotive performance was generally applied. At first,
Made with
locomotives were
Clipchamp.
rated by tractive effort, defined as the average force developed during one revolution of the driving wheels at the railhead. This can be roughly
Made with
calculated by
Clipchamp.
multiplying the total piston area by 85% of the boiler pressure and dividing by the ratio of driver diameter over piston stroke.
Made with
Tractive
Clipchamp.
effort is a measure of the heaviest load a locomotive can start at a very low speed over ruling rate in given territory. In 20th
Made
century,
with Clipchamp.
locomotives began to be rated by power output. Power output is determined by the size of the fire. Modern non-compound locomotives
Made with
are
Clipchamp.
typically able to produce about 40 drawbar horsepower per square foot of grate. Tractive force, as noted earlier, is largely determined by the boiler pressure, the
Made with
cylinder
Clipchamp.
proportions, and the size of the driving wheels. However, it is also limited by the weight on the driving wheels, which need to be at least 4 times the tractive
Made
effort.
with Clipchamp.
The weight of the locomotive is roughly proportional to the power output. The number of axles required is determined by this weight divided by the
Made with
axle load
Clipchamp.
limit for the trackage where the locomotive is to be used. The number of the driving wheels is derived from the adhesive weight in the same manner, leaving the remaining
Made with
axles to
Clipchamp.
be accounted for by the leading and trailing bogies. Speed was unimportant, making the smallest engine for the tractive effort was paramount. Driving
Made
wheels
with
were small
Clipchamp.
and usually supported the firebox as well as the main section of the boiler. Goods train were designed to run faster, while passenger locomotives
Made with
needed to pull
Clipchamp.
heavier loads at this speed. This was achieved by increasing the size of the grate and firebox without changes to the rest of the
Made
locomotive,
with Clipchamp.
requiring the addition of a second axle to a trailing truck.
Numerous variations on the basic steam locomotive occurred as railways attempted to
Made
improve
with
efficiency
Clipchamp.
and performance, such as cylinders, valve gear, compounding, articulated locomotives, duplex type, geared
Made with
locomotives,
Clipchamp.
cab forward, steam turbines, fireless locomotive, mixed power, electric steam locomotive, etc. The introduction of electric
Made with
locomotives
Clipchamp.
around the turn of the 20th century and later diesel electric locomotives spelled the beginning of a decline in the use
Made
of
with
steam
Clipchamp.
locomotives, although it was some time before they were phased out of general use. As diesel power became more reliable in the 1930s, it gained a foothold in North America. The full transition away from steam power in North America took place during the 1950s. In continental Europe, large scale electrification has replaced steam power by the 1970s. Steam was a familiar technology, adapted well to local facilities, and also consumed a wide variety of fuels. This led to its continued use in many countries until the end of 20th century.